I have a story that questions the system of the ego, but also reveals that whatever is destined for you is going to take place. Consciousness is far more bigger than the ego. Consciousness always wins. You see, ego always loses. Here we go. There was a young lady who was kept kind of recluse from her parents, only child, in a little wooden hut far out in the rural countryside. And they protected her from life. They didn't put her to school or nothing like that. They told her how to be, how to live, how to survive. She was able to grow her own food, her own vegetables, her own fruits. She made her own clothes. She was great in the creative side. She could maintain the house and what it needed. She could provide water from the well and heat and all that stuff. So she was self-dependent. When the parents died, she was on her own. She had a little dog, and she loved life. Every morning she got up, there was chores to do, jobs to do, and everything was okay, She was quite happy, whistling and smiling, and everything was good. She loved the forest that she lived in. She loved nature. She loved the animals. She loved the weathers. She loved having to provide heat for herself. Everything. She was the most dependent you would ever find. And one day she was walking the dog and she heard a massive bang. And she knew it had came from the street, about a mile down the road. So she ran, and there was an accident. This man was in the front of the car and he was dying. The car had overturned and hit so many trees, and he was choking to death, and she pulled him back. She undid his tie. She cleared the tongue from the back of his throat. She did everything that she could to keep this man alive. She found the man's mobile phone. She pressed the emergency button, spoke to the services, and the services said there was an ambulance on its way, and keep the phone on so that they could track it, and also that they could help in monitoring the man's situation. And she did. The ambulance came. The man was taken away in an ambulance. She was interviewed by the police, and then she went home. About 2 days later, she had no phone. She picked up this letter from the postman. It said, "Dear lady, I am the main senior nurse at the hospital. I believe you saved this man. I also believe that you were incredibly able. You saved his life. But you also, when the services told me when the phone was continually supporting the man by singing, by talking about what was going on, by wiping his brow, by keeping him warm. You were like an angel. I think you're a nurse. Not many nurses through their training would be able to cope in such a situation and have the insight to talk and keep the man focused on what is taking place, and just singing and humming and hugging that man. I would like you to consider a life in the nursing." Oh, she says, "No, to the letter, I'm not interested." But on the end of the letter, something caught her eye. Just to give you some motivation, I am sitting writing this letter in my home, and on my wall I have so many rewards, so many certificates, so many recognition, so many letters from people whose lives I've saved, I've helped save, so many photographs of people who have sent me, and so many gifts. My wall is surrounded with this beauty of reminding me of how I have made a difference to people's lives. How is your wall? And she looked up at her wall and she says, it's bare. Only a photo of her parents and her and a little dog. Nothing. So she, for a few days, decided to go walking and continue. But her mind kept going on about maybe she's hiding from the world, maybe she needs to do something, maybe her parents would be proud of her. So she changes her mind and she contacts the nurse, and she arranges her to go to university. And every morning she walks 2 miles through to get the bus and goes to university. She finds it very socially difficult, but she does most of the work at home, and she manages to finally become a nurse, get that qualification. And the postman delivered the certificate, and as he knocked on the door he said, you know, I never knew you lived here until that accident. Now I get to meet you. I get to post letters through your door about your university and all that stuff, and now I think you've got something that you deserve. You've worked hard. You looked after this place, and I've drove past many times and saw you working, and you're a great woman. You're a great inspiration. But now you're also an inspirational nurse. I wish you all the very best of luck in the world. She says, thank you, Mr. Postman. I now have to apply for jobs. So she gets a letter from the main nurse and said, congratulations, you're great. Now you just have to apply for jobs. If there's any help, give me a shout. So she gave her a list of places to apply, and every now and then she would apply and she would get the same letter back from the postman. I'm sorry, the government has no funds just now. I'm sorry, you have no experience. I'm sorry, your location is not, and you don't have any vehicle. So you cannot be available for call, and you need more experience. And the rejection letters kept coming and coming, and it was the same old stuff. The hospital that you could work in is 100 miles away. Will you get there every morning? Will you? And she was not prepared to leave her home. So she eventually, after a few weeks, she began pinning the rejection letters round her certificate on the wall. You see the certificate now, I am a nurse, was there. She was proud, but all these rejection letters would also go up just to remind her of what was going on. And after 3-4 weeks, after 50 or 60 rejection letters, her wall became full, and she began getting depressed and despondent and realizing she was a failure and she was not required by society. The accident was just a fluke. So she one morning woke up and said, I've had enough of this, and she ripped everything off the wall, including her certificate, and burnt them all. And she went back to her life. She returned to getting the water from the well, and the fruit and the vegetables had all been ignored because of her 3-4 year university qualification. So she had a big job to maintain the house and get the garden going again and get the water, but she managed. She loved it. She was smiling. She looked at her dog and says, we can get back. And everything seemed to be coming good again, and she was returning to that what she had. And then one morning the postman knocks on the door, and she answers. She says, oh, I haven't seen you for a while. He says, no, what's happening? She says, oh, I just kept getting rejection letters. I've had enough. I'm just going to he says, that's really unfortunate. They've missed something. They've missed a great opportunity with you. Oh, she says, thank you. You're so kind. He says, anyway, I've got a parcel for you. A parcel? She says, I didn't order a parcel. He says, I know. He says, I believe it is for you. You see, what happened was this box had been delivered to the main depot and had no address on it. All it said in the box was, to the lady who saved my dad. And they didn't know. And it was not my depot, you see. So I was going in through this other depot the other day, and they were about to throw this box out. And I looked at it and I said, can I see that? And I read it. It said, to the lady who saved my dad, I hope you find her and she gets this. It's really, really important. He says, I believe it's you. She says, me? Why me? Remember 4 years ago, that accident, that man? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah. He says, well, I believe this must be for you. No one else knew, you see. They were about to just throw it out, you see. And I was desperate to find who owned it, and I believe it's you. So she opened the box in front of the postman, and her eyes opened wide, and a tear came from her eye. She says, as she picked out this beautiful, beautiful handmade woolen coat. It's my coat, she says. He says, oh, it is yours then. It's my coat. My mother made it to me. She made it before she died. She says, you'll need this on the cold days. I was wearing it the day that man had an accident. I placed it over him. He was freezing. I must have forgot. I was so relieved he was just okay. I must have walked home without my coat. I thought I'd lost it. I'm so happy. Wow, so much goodness has came. He says, I'm so happy for you. He says, wear that coat proudly then. So she made him a cup of tea and a toast, and they laughed, and they talked about all the stuff that had gone on and how negative her life was and had became, and now it's all right and everything is back to normal. And he left. And she looked at her dog and she said, you know what, dog? It's cold today. I'm going to wear my coat and we're going to go for a nice long walk. We've been really busy. So the dog wagged its tail, picked up its lead, and she attached it, put the coat on, and as she did, she put her house keys in the pocket, and she picked out this piece of paper, and it was folded up, and she opened it, and it said, dear lady, you gave me back my dad. You saved my dad's life. You're the best nurse in the world. They told me what you did. I couldn't have wished for anyone better than you. Even my dad remembered after he got better that someone was singing to him. And you know what? It was my favorite song. You were singing my favorite song to my dad. He said, you have to find this lady. She is special. So I hope this coat finds you. You're an incredible nurse, an incredible angel to me. My dad, he reads stories to me. He takes me swimming. He tickles me and makes me laugh. He is my whole world. My mom also, she is so happy too. You brought our family back together. I want to thank you with the bottom of my heart. I hope you find this coat. Thank you. Please accept a little gift I put in the other pocket. Love, Hannah. And she puts her hands in the other pocket, and there's a nice cake of white chocolate, her favorite. Oh my God, she says, she got my favorite chocolate. She took the letter and she put it in the frame that was used for her nursing certificate. To the best nurse in the world, she thought, yeah? and she put it in the middle of the room. And she also framed her chocolate wrapper paper. And she put it beside her parents and looked and said, I hope you're proud. I hope you're proud of me. I will continue to look after our house. I will continue to do the things that you taught me to do. I will continue to provide for myself. I will continue to be happy and remind myself of what you gave me. You gave me courage, you gave me determination, you gave me my fair hands, and you gave me the kindness and the compassion for other human beings. Now I'm off to walk the dog and munch on this chocolate. So she closed the door and walked down the path, smiling, singing, and skipping. And about a mile down the road, a man was walking in the other way, and she sort of recognized him. And as she walked closer, she says, it's you, the postman. He says, oh, hello, I was just walking. Oh, she says, do you want a piece of chocolate? Why, sure, he says. It's a gift. I want to share my gift with you. You share your love for me, your faith in me. Would you walk with me? He says, I wouldn't walk with any other. Do you mind? No, she says. We should do this every day, if you don't mind. He said that would be good. And he walked away with the dog, munching on a chocolate, smiling and laughing and singing. You see, consciousness always wins.